Welcome back to the Morning Kickoff Show. I'm your host, Matt Witt, and today we have some breaking news from the Vikings Twitter page. The Vikings have signed quarterback Ty Smith and released punter Jordan Berry. The team also reached an injury settlement with Stevenson. So the only thing right here that we're going to really focus on is obviously the releasing of Jordan Berry, as the other two are just whatever. But the Vikings releasing Jordan Berry this early in the offseason or before the final preseason game came by a surprise to me, honestly. I figured that it would go another week because going into this offseason, we weren't looking at Jordan Berry as a red flag for the Vikings, obviously. I mean, he's a punter. It's not going to change really anything in the game. He is a punter, but we weren't looking at him as a player who needed to be replaced for the Vikings. And we saw a lot of punting in the preseason from the Vikings. We saw too much punting in the preseason, both from Jordan Berry and Ryan Wright. Ryan Wright being the UDFA who we signed from Tulane after the draft this last offseason, obviously because you don't draft punters, but it's great to see Ryan Wright already win the roster spot over Jordan Berry, who's been honestly a stud this last season and during the preseason as well. Jordan Berry deserves to be a starting punter somewhere in the league, but that's not going to be in Minnesota this next season because we do have the young 22-year-old Ryan Wright, who is looking like the future at the punting position for the Vikings. So not massive news for the Vikings. Obviously, this is not going to be the difference at all for the Vikings, but it's great to see that we're going with a cheaper option, a younger option, maybe a better option at the punting position, as we're grabbing someone who could be here for the next 2 decades because punters play for until they can't walk anymore at this point. I mean, all they're really doing is kicking a ball. They're not really getting hit. But one downside to this could be like maybe he's young, so the pressure could be on him more. I mean, he played at Tulane. He had a lot of pressure as a punter there. So there's no doubts here, as we saw how great he did in the preseason. I'm assuming he outperformed Jordan Berry in the training camp as well. So great for Ryan Wright. Congratulations to you. You are our new punter. Now let's move on. Let's look at who's going to be our backup quarterback. Who's going to be our starting right guard? Who's going to be our starting center? We're going to talk about this on the upcoming episode. Make sure you stay tuned.